Good morning. So glad that you could join with me today. Whenever you're watching this, it might be good afternoon, it might be good evening, it might be good night. So I've been reading this book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And I'll be honest, it wasn't everything I expected it to be. As far as the memoir from the time that he was in Auschwitz, and he was in Auschwitz and other camps for years and years. He was there a long time. Some of the memoir part, I mean, it was certainly worth reading, but not as riveting. But see, he had this dream he was a psychiatrist, and I think the thing that kept him going was he had something called logos therapy. Logotherapy is, well, logos is the word for word in the New Testament, and we take it means meaning. And I agree with him that it resonates with me that the main thing that I need in my life is meaning. Some people would say, Nietzsche would say it was the will to power. I'm not really into power. My name, Donald, my middle name means world ruler, but Paul means small. So I'm just a small world ruler. So I don't really need the will to power. Then people would say, well, how about pleasure or happiness? And you know, the elusive butterfly of love and happiness, you can chase it all you want, but they're really hard they tend to be more byproducts. But meaning, yeah, to me that really resonates. So he had this dream, and so I got to a point in the book where I'm like, I get it now. He had this logotherapy that he really wanted to share with the world, and I think it was very valuable. And I think it was that dream that kept him going. I really do. And what he endured was amazing. But sometimes suffering, how do you find meaning in suffering? I think that's one of the hardest ones. And as we try to say to somebody else, we can't explain why they're going through what they're going through. But I've come across, now that I'm in this part where he's talking about the logotherapy, some real gems. And I wanted to share this one with you today. So what he says is that there was a time where there was this elderly man who was a general practitioner, a doctor. An MD consulted him for counseling, and he was severely depressed. The origin of his depression is that he just could not get past the loss of his wife who had died 2 years before. And he just loved her profoundly, and now she was gone. How was he going to help him? I mean, you can't replace the wife, right? I just thought this was brilliant. What should I tell him? He said, well, I refrained from telling him anything, but instead confronted him with this question. What would have happened, doctor, if you had died first and your wife would have had to survive you? Oh, he said, for her, this would have been terrible. How she would have suffered. He just thought it would just, maybe even worse than how he was suffering. And then Viktor Frankl said to him, you see, doctor, such a suffering has been spared her. It was you who have spared her this suffering, to be sure, at the price that you now have to survive and mourn her. He didn't say a single word, but he nodded, he shook Frankl's hand, and calmly left the office. And I think that it made a huge difference to him. The very simple fact that he was suffering meant that his wife didn't have to suffer, and it gave meaning and purpose to a season that otherwise wouldn't. That it still was motivated by love. I love some of the things that Viktor Frankl says about love. Maybe we'll get into those another day. But in the midst of whatever we're going through, if we can do some kind of good, and if we can perceive that we're doing that good for another a person, especially because of the love of God, our lives have meaning and our lives have purpose. God bless you. Have a great day.